What if two of the most controversial figures linked to the modern British royal story were quietly connected by a paper trail that was never meant to surface, a trail that raises uncomfortable questions without offering easy answers? Tonight, we examine newly surfaced receipts and documents that online investigators and commentators say shed light on a little-known overlap in the pasts of Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew, an overlap that has reignited debate, scrutiny, and speculation across media on both sides of the Atlantic. If you found this report insightful, take a moment to reflect on how celebrity culture shapes health trends and why responsible conversation matters. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for more in-depth coverage that goes beyond the headlines and keeps you informed as these stories continue to unfold. Share this video, leave your thoughts in the comments section. According to reporting circulating this week, a cache of receipts, travel records, invitations, and correspondence has been presented by independent researchers who claim these materials point to a series of coincidental encounters and shared social circles during a narrow window in time, years before Meghan Markle entered the royal family and long before Prince Andrew became a symbol of royal scandal. The documents, which have not been authenticated by authorities, are being discussed as context rather than proof of wrongdoing, but their emergence has proven enough to spark renewed interest and intense discussion. The story begins in the mid-2000s, a period marked by overlapping elite networks that included charity galas, private clubs, media events, and international social calendars. Analysts reviewing the materials say the receipts show bookings at the same venues within overlapping dates, invitations to the same high-profile functions, and intermediary names that appear across separate guest lists. In isolation, none of this would be unusual in elite circles. Taken together, critics argue, the pattern invites questions that had never previously been asked. Sources familiar with the documents say several receipts reference luxury hotels and private event spaces in London, New York, and Toronto. These were venues frequently used by prominent figures from entertainment, politics, and philanthropy. At the time, Meghan Markle was building her career in television and lifestyle media, while Prince Andrew was actively involved in international trade promotion and charity patronage. Commentators stress that being in the same city or attending adjacent events does not imply a personal relationship, yet they acknowledge the timeline is striking. One set of receipts discussed online involves ticketing and table placements for a charity fundraiser where both names appear in proximity on separate lists. The event itself was widely attended and covered by society pages, and no photographs or direct interaction between the two have been produced. Still, the resurfacing of these records has led to renewed examination of how royal-adjacent networks functioned during that era, and how many figures passed through them without public notice. The discussion intensified when email headers and scheduling notes, allegedly from third-party organizers, were added to the mix. These notes, which reference coordination and courtesy arrangements, are said to demonstrate how introductions were often handled indirectly through aides, agents, and hosts. Media analysts caution that such notes are common in event planning and should not be misconstrued as evidence of private dealings. Nonetheless, the language used in some of the correspondence has been interpreted by critics as unusually familiar for individuals said to have never crossed paths. It is important to note that neither Meghan Markle nor Prince Andrew has confirmed the authenticity of these materials. Representatives for both have previously maintained that speculation built on circumstantial records is misleading and unfair. In similar past situations, legal experts have emphasized that receipts and schedules can establish presence, not intent or conduct. This distinction has become central to the current debate. Public reaction has been swift and polarized. Supporters of Meghan Markle argue that the focus on these materials is part of a broader pattern of retroactive scrutiny applied to her public life, often without proportional evidence. They point out that Prince Andrew's controversies stem from entirely separate allegations that have been extensively covered and should not be conflated with unrelated figures. Critics, on the other hand, claim the story underscores how insulated social ecosystems allowed powerful individuals to circulate with minimal accountability. Royal commentators have weighed in with more measured perspectives, noting that elite overlap is a defining feature of global high society. They argue that the true story may not be about a hidden relationship, but about how proximity can be misread when viewed through a modern lens shaped by scandal and mistrust. The presence of receipts, they say, gives the illusion of certainty while actually revealing very little. Still, the timing of the revelations has added fuel to the fire. The document surfaced amid renewed discussion about transparency, influence, and the responsibilities of public figures connected to institutions funded by public trust. For some observers, the story resonates less as a personal exposé and more as a case study in how information, once obscure, can be recontextualized years later to reshape narratives. Legal analysts caution audiences to approach the claims carefully. Without independent verification, the materials remain unproven. Even if verified, they would likely demonstrate only that two individuals moved within overlapping spheres, not that they shared a secret past. This nuance has often been lost in the speed of social media amplification, where headlines can outrun facts. Media organizations covering the story have adopted careful language, emphasizing that the receipts raise questions rather than provide answers. Several outlets have noted that similar document dumps in the past have led to sensational conclusions that later proved overstated. As a result, editors have stressed the importance of context, corroboration, and restraint. For Meghan Markle, the story arrives at a moment when her public image continues to be intensely debated, with supporters highlighting her advocacy work and critics scrutinizing every aspect of her past. For Prince Andrew, any renewed attention inevitably intersects with existing controversies, even when the subject matter is unrelated. This convergence, analysts say, may be why the story has gained traction so quickly. As of now, no formal investigation has been announced in relation to the newly discussed materials. There have been no legal filings, no official statements addressing specific receipts, and no confirmation that the documents represent anything beyond routine records from a bygone social era. What remains is a conversation about perception, power, and the long shadows cast by association. In the end, the story of these so-called shocking receipts may say more about the current media climate than about the individuals involved. In an age where every document can be framed as a revelation, the line between inquiry and implication has become increasingly thin. Viewers are left to navigate that line themselves, weighing what is known against what is merely suggested.